The FNL Network Talk Show.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the FNL Talk Show. I'm Elaine Lancaster, James Davis, along with our special new guest, Sean Bennet. Hello, Sean.
Hey, do you want me to call you James or Elaine or?
You just call me whatever you want. Just call me Marianne, and then of course, how you guys doing? Good. Well, welcome. I hope you all are prepared for a really glorious weekend. I think it's gonna be beautiful all over the nation. So I'm sitting here in Delray Beach, Florida today, at my mother's place, but I'll be going back to Miami later this afternoon, and we're going to talk before we do about three things that I have. One is the infamous Hunter Biden laptop, which has been confirmed. Well, it was confirmed from day one as soon as I saw the footage, but it's been confirmed by the New York Times. And we're going to also be talking about our topic number two, which here in Florida is called House Bill 1557, or the left refers to it as the Don't Say Gay bill. And then thirdly, we're going to be talking about the Biden administration. Why are they intentionally trying to harm America? So by doing so, we're going to kick off the show, and I'm going to be talking about Hunter Biden's laptop, and then we'll allow whatever.
He came in.
Be allowing each.
He's everywhere. Be afraid. Run. Oh, Hunter.
We're going to start off with Hunter Biden's laptop. And so the laptop, a poll the other day, and 66% of Americans believe, 66% now, keep in mind that's an awful large percentage of any consensus in America, that Hunter Biden's laptop is a big deal and that Joe is definitely involved. So, and what they have found on this lab is extremely disturbing. They have found, allegedly, of course, molestation of his 12-year-old niece on the videos. They found videos of Hunter molesting young Chinese girls. They have found that Joe Biden there's a document in there, a contract stating that Joe Biden is to receive 50% of all income that Hunter receives because of Joe's contacts for the next 30 years. 50%. Ooh, it's a lot of money. And there are also texts on the laptop and the hard drive of a Chinese investment fund declaring millions of dollars that has been funneled to the Biden family, being James Biden, his brother, along with himself, Hunter, and Joe and his sister. What else we have here? Hunter Biden is under tax investigation, which was started under the Obama administration. And all this is definitely undermines the national security of the United States. Is Joe Biden compromised? Of course he is. So there are millions and millions of governmental reps in China and Russia who have all kinds of information that can bring down the United States if Joe Biden is to remain in office, which I don't believe he's going to get out of this one unscathed. And there are just a few of the laptop, the Russian disinformation, 51% of so-called intelligent experts who won't apologize, who said that this was all Russian disinformation. One listed James Clapper, Michael Hayden, Leon Panetta, John Brennan, John Seiper, John McLaughlin, and Michael Morrell. So these are just a few of the things that have been found on the laptop. I could care less, honestly, about all the sexual exploits and drugs that are on the laptop. That has nothing to do with the presidency. What I am concerned about is all the things that are associated with Joe Biden and this administration, especially when he was vice president. So what do you guys think? Well, I'll start off with you, Sean, since you're our special guest this week.
Well, sure. To me, it's almost like Hiller's emails. There's nothing there. Do you know who found the laptop? Giuliani, who's disbarred because he's such a crazy hot mess, rumored allegedly to be an alcoholic who implodes on TV with hair dye going down his face. You know who he found the laptop supposedly from? Mac Isaac. You can't write this because it's so funny. Mac Isaac, who owns a repair. So Helen Keller from Giuliani, the alcoholic, is the source that this is all going to begin with. And then Hunter's connection to business in China was from a guy named Gui Wengai, who's a billionaire who happens to have the boat that Steve Bannon was arrested on, because all these alleged crimes lead to the lawyer of Trump going Cohen to jail, Giuliani being disbarred, Steve Bannon being arrested, and Biden, nothing going on. Fox even passed on this story originally because there was nothing there. The Post says no one even knows if the emails were Hunter's because the guy's blind, so from daddy. And meanwhile, how much did Ivanka profit from the presidency? 13 million in the hotel in DC. Oh, she also got 2 Russian trademarks. Oh, and 3 from China after President Xi went to Mar-a-Lago.
We're talking about Hunter Biden's laptop, not Ivanka.
Oh, well, no. You're saying like that Hunter.
This is not about, let's not do whataboutisms.
I can talk about whatever I want. I'm saying that you're comparing.
I'm not comparing Hunter to
like,
anyone.
You should
I'm saying that we're talking about Hunter's laptop, and it is not about
by anyone.
Okay, well, that's the thing. It was just, have you not been aware that the New York Times has just declared this to be authentic?
No, they
Yes,
did.
they did.
The Post says
We're not talking about the Post, we're about the
proof.
New York Times, the old gray lady, the most standard, the standard bearer of what's considered to be news worth reading.
If any of this was true, it would be all over and Hunter would be arrested. I don't know why the Republicans like everybody to molest children, because all of a sudden our new Supreme Court judge, she's accused of being nice to child molesters, Pizzagate with Hillary. It all goes back to the same conspiracy. But you know what? Jeffrey Epstein was friends with Trump, who had underage girls. Matt Gaetz accused of hiring underage girls in college to have sex with him, and daddy bailed him out like the DUIs. Oh, and then it turns Jim Jordan allows his students to be molested. So molesters might be on the GOP side, but they just like to project. I'm just saying. I think maybe we need to look a little bit more into other New York Times articles.
Yeah, I think we need to stop with the alleged.
Back at yours. None of it's true.
So
it's all alleged.
Okay.
It's alleged.
Jeff, what do you think?
Okay, so first of all, I've had a crazy week. I try to stay very neutral.
Me too.
As the minister, because I don't want to get caught up in any kind of he say, she say stuff. I just want the facts. And I just want to say, if it's true, it will come forth. But, you know, me just trying to pinpoint on if somebody did something, I don't know that per se. I didn't really research it, but that's all I have to say. If it is true, then it definitely needs to be addressed. If it's not, then it needs to be corrected. But yeah, the heat and back and forth, I just don't want to be a part of that. Because I just try, you know me, I'm just a neutral person. I don't
know, Jeff, but have you seen the video footage? Have you seen any of the laptop footage?
No, I didn't. That's what I'm saying. This week, because it was so crazy in my shop and so much going on, I haven't looked at anything. Okay. So I'm just trying to get the bits and pieces, and I don't want to talk on something that I really don't have the facts on. And
I can appreciate that. Yeah. Well, so, yeah. When I first saw this, when it first came out last year, I was like, oh my God, this is devastating. And of course, it was silenced throughout all social media because they didn't want it to affect the election. Of course, it would have affected the election, but it's very damning. And if they don't pay, if the Biden family, the Biden crime family doesn't pay the price for what's going on and what they have actual concrete footage and documentation, there's no justice in this country. So Marianne, with that, what do you think, dear?
Well, I'm going to say, if any of it is true, I'm one of those people that I would really be heartbroken if there were kids being molested, if somebody was being hurt. That I feel needs to be dealt with, including everything else. But I don't know at this point, I don't know what to believe. I've heard so much, and I'm a firm believer that the truth does come out. It may take a while, but I hope that whatever that truth is will surface. So that's my opinion on it.
Do we not remember that Trump held money from Zelensky in Ukraine, blackmailing him to try to find information on Biden? But Biden is boring like a zombie. There is nothing there. There's no there. He blackmailed an entire country on funding. If there was something, it would have came out before the election.
Who blackmailed a whole country?
Supported, like, the election and being non-biased.
Sean, who blackmailed a whole country?
Star.
Excuse me.
The internet made him president. They didn't get anything back from Hunter to be non-biased. It doesn't exist that way.
Who blackmailed a whole country?
Trump did. He held funding from Ukraine because he wanted dirt on the Bidens, and he sent Giuliani to.
I think you're mistaken. It was Joe Biden who said in a press conference and said that he told them to pull the prosecutor off and fire him immediately. They were going to hold $1 billion in aid to their country, and they said, "You can't do that. You're just the vice president." They said, "You want to call it?" He goes, "You want to call the president?" I mean, Obama. So Obama was in on it too. They're the ones who were blackmailing.
Trump wasn't sending the check. I mean, it was a whole thing all over national news because he wanted to find dirt. And that's why he sent Giuliani, who found a blind man with somebody's computer that we're now talking about as if it's real.
And you said that the computer was located in the Ukraine. It was in Delaware. The computer repair was in Delaware.
And how did they get it there to Mac Isaac?
Because
Giuliani who found it.
No, because the laptop was taken into the repair shop by Hunter Biden, 3 of them, in fact. And he's such a drug-addled mess, he left them there. And the repair shop owner emailed, sent certified mail and phone calls to Hunter to tell him to come pick them up. Never got a response. So what did he do? During his repair, he noticed all this footage on there that was considered to be illegal.
Well, according to the Washington Post, he's blind. And that nobody ever came to pick it up, and he can't identify that it was Biden because he's blind.
No, they can't identify him because his signature is on the repair form, and also they have a copy of his ID.
It could have been Giuliani's alcoholic signature. We don't know.
It could have been. It could have
Exactly.
been. It could have been Nancy Pelosi too, but it wasn't. So let's not talk about things that could have been or hypotheticals. Let's talk about what we have.
New York investigating the Trump family for fraud.
We have actual proof.
Well, like Ivanka taking 13 million from daddy being in office from the hotel that he owned.
Listen,
her getting trademarks that we can go ahead and Google.
You can try to disparage that family all you want, but you look at the Trump family kids,
the Trump family,
the Biden family kids, and see which one you would want to be a part of.
Yeah, I don't want to be part of the dumps. It's all right.
Okay, well, you go ahead and you do your thing, and you can be all the mess you want to be if that's what you want to be. Because
you can insult me, but I don't want to be a dump.
No, you're saying that you'd rather be a part of the Biden family.
Definitely. He gets along with his grandchildren, his whole family. He's not a criminal. He's not sleeping with prostitutes.
All right.
Sounds nice to me.
Well, obviously you are of your position and we are of ours. And I'm going to go on to the next topic, which is the Florida House Bill 1557, or as the left likes to refer to it as the Don't Say Gay bill, which has nothing to do with Don't Say Gay in the bill. I'm a Florida resident. I'm a member of the gay community. And I, at one time, considered myself a proud leader of the community. I was designated the icon of the city in 2015, and I cannot, for the sake of me, want to associate with the alphabet community anymore. They are so toxic. And so we're going to go on to parental rights in education. This is what the bill says in a nutshell. Parental rights in education requires that the district school boards to adopt procedures that comport with the certain provisions of the law for notifying students' parents of specific information. Requires such procedures to reinforce fundamental rights of parents to make all decisions regarding the upbringing and control of their children, prohibits school districts from adopting procedures or student support forms to prohibit school districts personnel from notifying parents about specific information or encouraging the student to withhold from parents such information, prohibit school districts from personal. So in other words, you cannot do something to a child or try to indoctrinate them without the parents, consent. They have to tell them when they're going to be discussing certain topics. It's up to the parents to raise the child, not to indoctrinate the child. I mean, the schools to educate the children, not to indoctrinate the children. So it goes on and it says that school district personnel is from discouraging or prohibiting parental notification and involvement in critical decisions affecting students' mental, emotional, or physical well-being. Prohibits classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity in certain grade levels, which is kindergarten to third grade. So blah, 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 blah. So my assessment is if you are a teacher and you're trying to sexualize a child from kindergarten to third grade, not only should you not be a teacher, you should not be within miles of a school. You're a danger. And so we see this now. The reason why we're seeing with the Supreme Court nominee, they're trying to ask her about pedophilia and why she was so light on the case. They're saying that Joe Biden, the reason why he is trying to or wants to have her confirmed is because Hunter's going to come up on pedophilia charges. And then he goes to the Supreme Court. And if that happens, he wants somebody who's going to be on the side of a pervert. So what do you think about that, Jeff? Have you read anything about that?
No, but I just want to say this. I don't think that should be discussed with children at such an early age because they don't know who they are at that age. And to put that in their mindset about their sexual identity, it shouldn't come forth. And it to me, it creates a red flag for them to be ostracized and picked on because that is something that is so serious at such a young age with, I just use them as an example with molestation, all the different things that sometimes kids experience, them being put in that, it shouldn't come forth in the system, in the school system when it comes to teachers. I don't think it should be discussed. Not that early at their age, no. They don't know. They don't know. There's kids running around feeling their way into learning the transition into sitting down, learning how to understand the knowledge that is being presented to them at that age. So giving it to them, to me, it behooves the situation at the time. No, I don't think that should be discussed.
I mean, when I was growing up, I believe that they started talking about sexual education. I think it was like in 6th or 7th grade.
6th grade, yeah. It was like 6th or 7th grade.
And even then I was sort of like clueless to what was going on. I can't imagine trying to sexualize a child's mind at such an early age, kindergarten or to 3rd grade or 4th grade or 5th grade. I mean, let children be children and don't try and direct them in a certain, like I've said before, when I was a child, I was very fond of feminine things. I enjoyed playing with Barbie dolls and tea sets. I had an ironing board, and I had all these things that are societal norms that are associated with women. And if I had a school teacher who had said, "Oh, you're drawn to more feminine things, James, so let's go ahead and let's start calling you Janice or Janie or something by, a feminine name. Well, we won't tell your mom and dad." And this is what that law says that, they're preventing them from doing, because a lot of schools have been indoctrinating these children. They have private clubs where these children all come together. And so before COVID came, there's this one famous case where a girl was very masculine, a tomboyish thing. And she was in this club, and they were trying to make her a little more masculine and calling her by a boy name or whatever. And so when COVID happened, she was at home, she was being homeschooled. She lost all that desire to be associated with all those things. She finally told her mother what had been taking place, and now there's a lawsuit. So the thing is that children have to be children, and children have to explore and become who they are on their own, not being, put like cattle into a direction that they should be going into. I mean, if they had tried to force me just because I was drawn to pretty colors and things like that, and to being a woman, and put me on hormone blockers at an early age, and insisted my parents do all this, they never would have, of course. But there are some parents who do listen to schools, and they look at them as a position of an authority. I would have been a bigger mess than I probably already am. So it's just that children need to be protected as much as possible at such an early age. And I think it's just unconscionable that they would be able to try to indoctrinate these children at so young of an age. I mean, I don't know anybody who is sexualized unless they've been molested at such an early age. What about you, Marianne?
I don't think, talking about sex education or anything like that should be done in those early ages. So I don't think anything should be forced, but I am a big advocate for being inclusive and for accepting people. So if a child wants to say, hey, I think I'm gay, they also shouldn't be shut down. They shouldn't be shunned. I think that everybody should be allowed to be themselves. And that the suicide rate in that community is high. And I hate to see anyone hurt or feel left out. So I do think it's a very early age to be discussing that stuff. However, when they're ready, I don't think they should be turned away. I think they should be embraced.
Yes, of course.
Separation.
The thing though has been so disturbing to me is the LGBT whatever Q plus. They're saying that the plus, when you look on a search engine, plus stands for pedophilia. That they're including pedophiliacs in this gay community, and other deviations that have nothing to do with sex. And to me, that is when I would think, why not? If we're going to get back, let's just get back to the gay community, the gay and lesbian community, or the gay and lesbian and bi community. And the trans people have told me personally, because not only have I rented homes, apartments to trans members who are some of my dearest friends, they don't believe that they are a part of the gay community. They're not gay. They believe that they are heterosexual women in a man's body. They want nothing to do whatsoever to do mentally with the gay community, but they have to be under the umbrella of the gay community because there's nowhere else for them to go. So I just find that it's all just, let's get back. If they want to separate themselves and be distinguished as the gay community, like a lot of people don't want to be considered African-American. They want to be considered American if they're Black. Some gay people don't want to be considered a gay American. They want to compete. I'm an American. I just happen to be oriented towards the same sex. So that's my thought. What about you, Sean?
There's a lot there. So let's see. First of all, I'm going to start with the obvious. James, since you also, do other performances and go by Elaine, the obvious to me is, what if you wanted to be called Elaine in second grade? The issue with the bill is that it's so vague, and so much of it, when did your average teacher who's hardworking and underpaid become a child molester or somebody who wants to indoctrinate children and sexualize them? Of course, if they do that, they're going to jail, and that's terrible. But I don't think that's really what this is. I think Ron DeSantis, the wannabe dump, is a to the QAnon, supporters who has a phone that supposedly is paying underage girls for sex. So look at oneself first. Anyhow, what happens in the bill, and I'm going to just read from lines 97 to 101. It says, classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3, which sounds sensible, but this is the issue, in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. Who's setting the state standards? What's age appropriate? So now it can be any age, anytime. If a child's molested, if they're being abused, the teacher may not be able to help them. They may not be able to get guidance counseling if they actually need to speak to someone. If they actually do feel transgender, since you said you're in Florida, like Jazz on TLC, who knew when she was 5 or 6 because she was on Oprah saying that she felt like a girl in a boy's body. Well, now her parents can be in trouble. The teachers could be in trouble for listening to, a person's truth. And as Marianne said, the Trevor Project says 52% of gay youth were bullied and 42% of gay youth seriously considered suicide. So we want to encourage this with such a bill? I don't think so.
Listen, I think it just is. I think it's funny. How do I say this? I think that's when all the separation and the stereo starts happening, because people get involved when there's already a struggle at such an early age, and they're feeling their way out of who they are through life at such an early age, and they're already being pinpointed in their struggle. And you have to be very careful, because that is a sensitive area when it comes to your sexual identity, who you're trying to figure out who you are, that could put you on the edge of suicidal, because it becomes something that you deal with from the beginning of kindergarten until you get out in the 12th grade. You carry that. So you become already a target for people to pinpoint and judge you. So it's hard, trying to make a decision on that. I think that when it comes up, it should be individual counseling with that individual, and it should not be put on a platform where they're being exposed. They're trying to figure out who they are, and they don't need people coming at them and throwing darts at them and calling them out their name and pushing them out, when they want to play in the with the rest of the kids, because the kids see, kids don't have a filter. They don't mean no harm, but they're going to say what they see. So it's a fine line right now with that situation, and I just don't think it's not appropriate right now for that, with when it comes to kids. It's just, you have to protect the babies. Regardless of the situation, you have to protect the babies. You have to protect them. As a teacher, she's there to give them the knowledge, but she's also that mother figure while they're in the classroom to protect them when someone is bullying them. It should be a correcting in that. That's a learning experience on both ends. So that's my opinion in it. It just hits hard, with the bullying and stuff. It just hits hard with me because I was bullied as a kid, and it doesn't feel good. You're just trying to be yourself. You're just trying to be who you are. You don't know what they're talking about. You just know this is how you feel. This is what you want to do. And you're being pinpointed. You're being ostracized from that such small age to adults. And then you wonder why they're suicidal and they're very rebellious and they don't want to deal with people because they already had the wall put up against them at such an early age before they even came into the experience of who they really are, their identity, just say their identity as a person. So it's just a very touchy area, and people, respond differently, but, each individual is different, but you have to be careful with that.
Amen. And thank you for sharing your truth as well.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome, Jeff. I appreciate you. And like you, I was bullied growing up. I was never the popular girl. I was never well liked. I was always teased. And although the reasons were different, I was just weird. Still am. But it hurts.
We love you. I love you being the weird.
I love you
That's
guys
who you are.
too. Yeah. I've just learned to own it as I've gotten older. But yeah, I mean, my thing is if they're not hurting themselves or someone else, that's my thing, then I don't see any problems, just as long as they're being their authentic selves and they're not hurting anyone. Everybody should be embraced for who they are.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm trying to get back to is that the bill states that you cannot be talking about sexuality, regardless of the orientation, to anyone in the ages of kindergarten to third grade. And I find
age appropriate. So that's any age now. That's what the issue is with the bill. It's interfering with kids' mental and safety and from bullying. It's not protecting the children. It's going to hurt more children. And that's why there's protests.
I couldn't disagree more. And I believe that
97 to 101, so you can read what I'm talking about.
Okay. I believe that when I was, on a personal note, when I was growing up and developing, all I cared about was just going to school, and school was fun. It had nothing to do whatsoever with sexuality. And I don't remember being bullied at such a small age. I was bullied later in life, but that bullying sort of helped me to develop a strong veneer. Plus I had an older brother who I used to fight with almost daily, who taught me how to fight and how to be tough. And you have to have aversions and things in life that are going to be opposing to you to help you develop a stronger veneer or a stronger character when dealing with life, because life can be very difficult and there's a lot of nasty people out there. And nowadays there's even more nasty people.
Yeah.
So I believe that we should protect the children at all costs. Do not indoctrinate or sexualize kids. And I think if I was them, I would say from kindergarten to fifth grade, but that's just me.
Well, I agree not to sexualize children, but this hasn't been happening. So it's a non-issue that's now going to stop kids from getting help, because I think church, school can be safety net. Some kids have abuse, at home. They have nobody to turn to. They may not have anybody else there.
If a child, if someone is being abused sexually from if someone's being
abused, they should be punished. Whoever does that, of course. No,
if someone is being sexualized at home or molested, and it's a teacher is aware of that, they call the police.
But now they can't. Thanks
No,
to
they
this bill.
can't.
That's the
They
point.
can't. They can call the
There
police.
too, because of
If-
this
no,
bill, and that's
you're
why
wrong.
they're
You're wrong.
protesting, friends.
It does not say that anywhere in the bill. You cannot
Because
notify
it's
the
age
authority.
appropriate, and what according to state standards, that can be anything.
If a
Now
no,
it's even a fair
you're talking-
of a
you're-
lawsuit.
you're misconstruing the whole entire premise of this
Why do you
bill.
think people are protesting it? Because you misconstrued what it
No,
said.
that's because they're like you. They don't know what's going on in the bill. I've read the bill. It does
I
not
just
say
read it.
anywhere in the bill that you cannot contact the authorities if someone has been molested.
After it says grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or
We're talking about
developmental
discussion in the
appropriate
classroom.
in accordance with state standards. That could be anything, my friend. Anything.
wrong.
That's
You're
97
wrong.
101. I read you 97 and 101.
Okay.
Pull it up. What can I
Listen,
tell you?
It does not, does it say, it says in the classroom, it does not say anything whatsoever about contacting the authorities if there is some type of crime that is committed, which means,
Or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate. So now the parent says, I'm not a molester. And now it's the teacher versus the parent, and they have a bill.
no, it's not a teacher.
This to
See-
get the teacher in trouble.
Listen, quit spewing falsehoods. It's not, it's not the teacher. versus-
97 and 101. Everybody listening.
teacher versus the parent. It has to do with, okay, we don't, let's not speak over each other. So what it is, what it is it says that the teacher and the parent, we're talking about the law enforcement agencies. We're not talking about a teacher and a parent here. If something has happened and someone notices that a child has been sexually abused and they contact the police, you're saying they can't call the police? This bill won't allow them to call the police? Let's not be ridiculous here. Of course they
That's
can.
from instruction by school personnel or third parties. That could be anybody, my friends.
Okay.
That's how it begins on line
All right.
97.
All right. Well, we'll go on to the next topic.
101, y'all, look it up.
You believe, yeah, well, I have read it. And so anyway, our third topic is why the Biden administration shut down the XL pipeline, the Keystone XL pipeline, is obviously hurting the American people. Why is Joe Biden and his administration shutting down, why did they shut down the construction of the border wall between the United States and Mexico? And now we've been told that there's an impending another surge of 100,000 or more coming into America within the next couple of weeks. So why is this administration seem so concerned about the sovereignty of Ukraine opposed to the sovereignty of the United States? I believe, this is my opinion, I've stated it before and I'll state it again, that they are trying to bring the United States down to a level of the rest of the world because they feel like we have gotten to become such a superpower that we are basically uncontrollable or people can't compete with us, which is not true. I mean, China is at our heels. So I just want to know, why do you guys think that the Biden administration would want to stop and make us energy dependent on the rest of the world? Why are we going to our adversaries and to states or nations that have been deemed to be adversaries of the United States, such as Iran, Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, and begging them for oil now? When Donald Trump was left office, we were energy independent. We were exporting oil. So now we're seeing gas in California at over $7 a gallon. And now the national average is around $4.80 a gallon. So why do you think, is it because they want to have American people on their knees begging, say we can't afford these prices for gas anymore, give us electric vehicles? Because that's what their ultimate goal is. And during his campaign, Joe Biden said that he is going to decimate the fossil fuel industry. And so we see that he's doing it. I mean, are these people so tone deaf that they don't realize that the working class Americans out there are barely getting by? So if it's costing them an average of $300 more a month for gasoline if they're a commuter, that they're having to do without other things, maybe food or medical or prescriptions. I mean, you know, some people don't have to worry about, you know, prices and things like that. Other people do. And I am for the working class American, always have been and always will be. So what do you think, Marianne?
Well, it's obviously no secret gas prices are very high and it's causing a lot of problems and I hate it. It's awful. I think we should be able to drill or to have our own oil. I think that would help a lot. I'm not sure why it was shut down. I don't agree with it. But I think the sooner we can get our own oil, the better, because I don't like to think about us being dependent on other countries. So that is my thought on that. As far as the stopping of the border, I mean, I feel like if people are going to come here, they should be able to get here legally. Perhaps there's a way to make that process easier and more streamlined, but I don't really know why he would have stopped that other than that was just part of his agenda. I'm not a huge Biden fan, but politically, I'm kind of somewhere in the middle.
Right. I mean, even Biden fans are no longer Biden fans. So
Yeah.
it was, the whole mantra was anybody but Trump, anybody breathing, anybody better than Trump. And you see with the consequences of it. I mean, we've got a vice president who can barely put together 5 sentences. And they are just like, oh, well, she's an absolute total idiot and embarrassment. And he, of course, has some type of mental problem, whether it's, early stages of Alzheimer's or something. But I would just find that it's an embarrassment on the world stage that these are the representatives of this nation. And hopefully that will change soon. And the midterms are coming up and we will see what happens there. What do you think, Geoffrey?
Like I told you before, I think there's a leak and the foundation is weak and they're just pulling straws. I think we are financially bankrupt. I'm saying what I feel. And I think that we're in a place because of so much that has happened. It's not, I'm neutral. So when I look at it, this is how I look at it. It did not start with Biden. It has been an ongoing thing in the process of presidents being in position and not doing what they were supposed to do. So it's just now that it's getting so worse. The people, which are us, are actually seeing the exposure of not having good leadership. It is what it is. So that's what I feel. And I feel like they're reaching out for help because we are struggling. I think the gas prices are high because they're not thinking about us. They're thinking about how to bring money into the economy to try to build it back up, but it's not working. You're allowing people to struggle even more and making them poverty stricken because they're not worrying about it because financially they're good. So it is what it is. That's what I feel like it's a financial thing. So they're pulling straws. And they're in a position like we don't know what's going on. It's a lot going on. We don't know what's really going on when they stepped into presidency. We don't know what has transpired with paperwork. So everything's a secret. They're not going to tell us everything. And I think they're just trying to fix it and they're just overwhelmed. They don't know how to fix it. It's just so much going on. But behind the scenes.
But don't you think Joe Biden, who has had 40 to 50 years in public service, he's been in politics, and they said that he's going to be the most qualified to step into the presidency, is an embarrassment to how incompetent he has proven himself to be? I mean, I don't know. Does that have to do with his Alzheimer's or whatever he's got? Is because, sometimes you don't have to be Albert Einstein to realize something's not ticking right there.
Yeah, so he's getting old. He's an older person, but you have to also realize he stepped in a whole different position, and he had a team that was sharp that could help him. So he's in position where this is new to him and he's the leader. And now he has to get all his leaders to be able to think on the same page to find a problem to a solution. And I felt like they went in thinking one way, and when they actually sat down, the problem is bigger than what they are. The balloon is bigger than them. It's overwhelming. And they're just trying to hone in to fix it, but as they hone in and fix it, it's something else going on. And then you have to go here and you're trying to fix. So I think it just became very overwhelming for them. And that's why I see it's happening.
Don't you find it curious?
Like a domino effect.
Look at under George Bush, he allowed Putin to take Georgia. And then under Obama, he allowed Putin to take Crimea. Under Trump, Putin didn't do a damn thing. And now taking Ukraine. Now, why is this? Do you think that Putin didn't act? If Trump was so on his side and so pro Putin, why did he not allow him to do anything? Because he told him, and it's documented, you try and do anything, and we will annihilate Moscow.
I know, but you also have to look at the picture in the midst of everything that has gone on. Putin probably sat back and watched us kind of go down. And then he made a strategic time when he could act when we're most vulnerable. He strategically knew that. He's a smart man. Come on. Yeah. He's not going to move until he sees us in a vulnerable state. That's what he sees. He sees the United States in a vulnerable state, and he's trying to seize the moment.
But why is the United States in a vulnerable state? Why are we weak right now?
Trump was Putin's puppet. He wanted him out of NATO to make everybody weaker. So now the European Union won't even be able to go against him like they are under Biden. The gas prices are up because Biden inherited the Great Depression from Trump, where our entire economy shut down and we had the worst pandemic since the Spanish flu. Just like your friend Bush created the biggest recession that Barack had to bail us out of. So the Republicans have a tendency to destroy the economy, and then the Democrats come in and they have to repair it. And we had the quickest job growth ever under Biden. And so he totally repaired the economy. Is gas outrageous? Yes. Is that Biden's issue? No. You know who it is? Corporate America. You want to drill, but 20% of the world's oil comes from the US. Saudi Arabia is 12%, and third is Russia, 11. We already produce more than enough oil. Corporations are the ones setting the price, and both hands are in the same dirty pocket, allowing the prices to go up and hurt Joe and Ma, Pa America. It has nothing to do with the administration, but with corporate greed. Period.
Okay, we're gonna have you expand upon one thing. So you're saying 11% of the world's oil comes from Russia?
So Russia is 11%, Saudi Arabia 12%.
And we receive how much percentage of oil from Russia?
Very little. It's mainly Europe. That's why we could cut them off.
So we have 3%. So you can't say that the reason why
they can open up pipelines today and lower the gas prices, but they're purposely not doing it for profit. That's exactly where the issue is. And for 12 years, your pipeline.
Who said that?
All the top leaders in corporate America just told CNN on an interview that they are not opening pipelines.
On where? On where did you say they said that?
CNN. You may have heard of it. It's the one that actually sometimes gives out statistics.
Enough said.
Yeah. Well, and you know, the pipeline was only going to be open because it could go through national forests and parks and kick out Native Americans. And it was stalled for 12 years because of that. So it wasn't Biden destroying it. He just denied a permit to use our land to kill more animals.
Stop the production of the XL pipeline on day one.
Talking over me yet again.
And also, well, because it's my time to speak and I'm the host of the show. And when I speak, you pause. So when
I'm talking. Okay.
When the production of the oil was stopped in Alaska, that's where all the oil production was coming for the United States. We were energy independent. We were exporting natural gas to the world. And it was the first time in the history of the United States that we were ever energy independent. We were not dependent upon NATO. Remember back in the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s when we were always begging NATO to please increase their production of oil to help the American people. And they would refuse to do so. And then we would impose some type of sanction. And then it's the same thing today. Why is it? I mean, wouldn't you want to, let's put it on a personal level, isn't it nice to be financially independent where you're not dependent upon anybody else to ask anybody for anything at any time? That's where we were. You didn't have to have a sugar daddy that you had to go to and say, oh, can I have a little bit of money this week? Or can I have that? You are your own sugar daddy. You have your own money. You don't ask anybody for to continue your existence. And I just think that it's an embarrassment. And it's also a national security risk that we have to be energy independent. What if we were to be cut off and we weren't able to, and lines were to develop like they did in the 70s, where you couldn't get gas unless your tag number had an odd number at the end or whatever. It's a very, very, and you saw Joe Biden the other day say, yes, there are going to be food shortages. So what?
He did not say that.
He did say there are going to be food shortages. Absolutely, he said it. Would you like for me to send you the video?
Yeah, sure. Because I'm sure it was probably doctored.
I'll send it to you. He said there are going to be food shortages. That's just going to be, there are going to be food shortages.
And why do we have inflation? Because Trump ruined the economy, everything was shut down, and nothing was coming into this country. And we don't regulate corporate America like Bernie wanted to, like the squad wants to, and nobody else does, because all their hands are in the same dirty tills. So the reason you're paying more at the grocery store and you're paying more at the pump is due to corporate America controlling the country, and it's not Biden, and that isn't Trump. He did ruin the economy, and he let the Spanish flu go rampant. But other than that, you know, he didn't do our current pricing.
I do agree with you. The corporate America is horrible. They're out of control, but they're in cahoots.
They're setting the gas prices, my friend, period.
But they're in control. They're in cahoots with the government. Biden tells corporate America what to impose, whether it be the airlines with the mask, saying, make them mask up, and they do so, or else we're going to not send you, you know, subsidies or money, where they were trying to send incentives to different states. You impose this in your state, and we're going to send you this money in COVID relief. That's why
if we weren't relieved, the whole country would still be in bread lines if it wasn't for the checks that they sent out, which is all from the Democrats who bailed out everybody.
If they hadn't have unscientifically shut down the nation, which now they proved was a mistake, we wouldn't have had to have checks. People would have been to continue to work and make a living. But no,
the president who read, it didn't take hydroxychloroquine and shove a light up your ass. Then we probably wouldn't have got to such a bad state as well, because that's what he did say. He said light kills it, and maybe you should drink some sort of anti-disinfectant and die. And everybody on stage was looking at Trump like, wow, he really is dumb.
Listen, light therapy does work.
No, colds are less likely to spread when it's summer.
Sean, listen, I had great hopes for you, but you're showing yourself to be not very well informed. You're not familiar with light therapy.
I don't read QAnon like you do. I'm sorry. I actually try to.
You don't know what I read.
I don't think you do, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. At any rate, all right. Well, we're going to go ahead and end today's show on that note. Anybody want to add anything else, Marianne or Jeff? You want to say anything?
That's what I want to say.
Go, Jeff.
Let's just love each other.
No, it just
have our opinion and just love.
No,
that's what's going on in the world. The world just don't want to love. We can't have our opinion and come back and still be cordial.
You're right.
I love all.
Well, the thing is, you know, the personal attacks are not necessary, and they won't be tolerated on this show. I'm an associate producer of the show, and I'm not going to tolerate personal attacks.
What's personal attack? It's a disagreement.
Well, no, you're just saying you read QAnon like you this, like you that.
You said
don't be so pointed.
Then you see this.
Try not to be so pointed in your attacks. Try to keep them general or your opinion. You know nothing about me.
I'm not
you know nothing about me, and I know nothing about you, and that's as far as I want to go with it. And so don't be personally attacking any of the hosts.
And if I did, I apologize, because it wasn't personal. But when you're like, you don't read, you don't have information, what do you do? And I say QAnon, that's tit for tat. It's not my friend.
Okay.
There's a difference.
On that note, Marianne, you want to say anything, darling?
I'm with Jeff. I love all of you guys. Sean, I'm really glad that I got to meet you today, and I appreciate.
Sorry, I maybe talk too much, so I want to hear more from you, and I apologize for that. And I loved what you shared, Jeff.
Okay.
It's okay. I'm glad we all got to get together today.
Yeah, me too.
I love everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have a beautiful.
Even if I don't agree with you. So if I offended you, I'm sorry, Jane.
Have a beautiful weekend, and until next Friday, thank you all for tuning in to the FNL Network. Stay free.